The American middle class is dying, not suddenly, but silently. Once the heartbeat of this nation, it now gasps for air under crushing debt, impossible rent, and a system designed to break the very people who built it. Families work harder than ever and have less than ever. Dreams of homeownership, savings, health, and rest have become fantasies. Every bill, every grocery run, every hospital visit bleeds hope dry. This isn't misfortune. It's by design. The middle class isn't living the American dream anymore. It's surviving the American illusion. Number 10. Housing. Owning a home was once the proud symbol of the American middle class. A white picket fence, a yard for the kids, and a key to stability. Today, that dream is gone. Completely gone. In the 1970s, a typical home cost about 3 times the average annual income. If you earned $12,000 a year, you could buy a decent house for $36,000. Fast forward to today, and that same ratio has exploded to 10 times income. The median U.S. home price now tops $420,000, while the median household income sits at $74,580. That math doesn't add up. The American middle class has been priced out of its own neighborhoods. In 1991, the average first-time homebuyer was 28 years old. Today, 38. That's a full decade lost. A decade of saving, building equity, and starting families. Every year, more Americans realize they may never own a home. They're stuck renting from corporate landlords who own thousands of single-family houses, turning what used to be homes into profit machines. BlackRock, Invitation Homes, and other institutional investors are quietly buying entire neighborhoods, sometimes paying cash, outbidding working families, and jacking up rents overnight. Even renting isn't a refuge anymore. The average rent for a one-bedroom apartment in many U.S. cities now exceeds $2,000 per month. Families are forced to sign leases that eat 40 to 50% of their take-home pay, leaving them one car repair or medical bill away from eviction. And for those still trying to buy? Mortgage rates over 7%, plus skyrocketing insurance and property taxes, make even modest homes impossible. A 30-year mortgage at today's rates means paying $900,000 over time for a $400,000 to $50,000 home. The American dream has turned into an American illusion, a cruel mirage shimmering just out of reach. The home that once symbolized security has become a symbol of loss, inequality, and generational despair. Number 9. Food crisis. There was a time when a middle-class family could walk into a grocery store, fill up a cart, and still have money left for the weekend. Today, that simple act feels like luxury shopping. America, the richest nation on earth, is now watching its middle class struggle to afford food. Since 2019, grocery prices have surged over 25%, with essentials like eggs up 70%, milk 30%, and meat and poultry 40%. The average U.S. household now spends $976 per month on groceries, compared to $650 just a few years ago. That's nearly $12,000 a year, for food that used to cost half as much. The grocery store aisles have become battlegrounds of inflation. A gallon of milk that was once $2.50 now costs $4.50. A carton of eggs that cost $1.39 now sells for $4.99. Families are switching to cheaper, ultra-processed options just to fill their kids' plates. It's not just about hunger anymore. It's about health. Obesity and diabetes rates soar while nutrition falls, because the only food most people can afford is junk. Fast food chains, once the affordable fallback, now charge $12 to $15 per meal. A simple McDonald's combo, the symbol of cheap American convenience, costs nearly as much as a sit-down restaurant meal did a decade ago. A family of 4 grabbing burgers and fries can easily drop $60 to $70. Meanwhile, corporations report record profits. Food giants like Tyson, PepsiCo, and Kroger have quietly raised prices far beyond their costs, using inflation as cover to fatten margins. The U.S. Department of Agriculture reports that food insecurity affects 17 million households, the highest since the Great Recession. This isn't just an economic problem, it's a moral one. When teachers, nurses, and construction workers can't afford dinner, something is deeply broken. Families are cutting meals, skipping fresh produce, and feeding their children on credit cards. The American dinner table, once the heart of the home, is now a place of quiet panic. The middle class isn't just losing wealth, it's losing the ability to eat. Number 8. A dependable car. For decades, the American car was more than transportation. It was independence, freedom, a symbol of the middle class, the open road, the weekend getaway, the daily commute to a stable job. But in 2025, that freedom has a price tag that most Americans simply can't afford anymore. The average new car payment has hit $748 a month, while the average used car payment is $555. That's nearly $9,000 a year, just to drive to work. In some states, car insurance premiums jumped 25 to 30% in a single year. Add $4 a gallon gas, maintenance, and taxes, and a dependable car easily costs $12,000 to $14,000 annually, more than many families pay for rent in smaller towns. Interest rates have crushed buyers. The average used car loan now exceeds 10% APR, with loan terms stretching up to 84 months. 7 years of debt for a car that begins losing value the moment you start it. Millions of Americans are now upside down, owing more on their vehicles than they're worth. Car loan delinquencies have spiked to their highest level since 2006, the same warning sign that preceded the financial crash. Once, every middle-class household had 2 cars in the driveway. Today, families are selling one just to survive. Many rely on a single aging vehicle, praying it doesn't break down because one repair could wipe out their savings. A simple transmission failure, $3,000. New tires, $1,200. Even an oil change has doubled in price. The automotive industry, meanwhile, boasts record profits. Dealerships tack on market adjustments, charging thousands above sticker price. Electric vehicles, once touted as the future, are out of reach, with average prices hovering near $60,000. The car that once symbolized freedom has become a financial prison. Americans now work to afford the thing that gets them to work. Every mile driven is another reminder that the middle class is stalling out, trapped in debt, crushed by costs, and running on fumes. The open road isn't open anymore. It's gated by price tags and payment plans. Number 7. Higher education without massive debt. College was supposed to be the great equalizer, the bridge from middle-class roots to a better life. Instead, it's become a financial trapdoor that swallows generations whole. In America today, getting a degree doesn't open doors. It locks you in chains of debt that can last a lifetime. The numbers are staggering. The average cost of a 4-year degree, including tuition, housing, and fees, has soared to $104,108 at public universities and over $223,000 at private ones. Since the 1980s, tuition has increased 1,200%, while wages for college graduates have barely moved. Student debt has now ballooned past $1.77 trillion, affecting more than 43 million Americans. A typical graduate leaves school with $37,338 in student loans. For many, that means paying $400 to $600 every month for decades. Even those who do everything right, studying hard, landing jobs, climbing the corporate ladder, find themselves trapped by interest rates that never seem to shrink the balance. Student loan forgiveness programs promise relief but deliver little. Meanwhile, colleges continue raising prices faster than inflation, padding administrative salaries while classrooms crumble. Parents are taking out Parent Plus loans to help their children, digging themselves into debt well into their 60s. Millennials and Gen Z delay marriage, home ownership, and even having kids, not because they don't want to, but because they can't afford to start life under the crushing weight of loans. And for what? A degree that often leads to jobs paying $45,000 to $55,000. Barely enough to cover rent, insurance, and those monthly payments. The promise of higher education has been hijacked by a system that profits from desperation. The cruelest irony? In the world's richest nation, knowledge is no longer a right. It's a luxury. The American university, once a beacon of opportunity, now stands as a monument to inequality. A diploma used to symbolize freedom. Now it's a receipt for financial bondage. Number 6. Entertainment collapse. Entertainment used to be the soul of American life. A ball game, a concert, a night at the movies. Today, it's become a luxury reserved for the privileged. The very things that once brought people together now remind millions that joy has a price tag they can't afford. A single movie ticket can cost $18, popcorn another $10, and a drink $7. A family of 4 spends $70 to $80 just to sit in silence for 2 hours. Concert tickets? Outrageous. The average resale price for major artists has crossed $300, while top acts like Taylor Swift or Bad Bunny can exceed $1,000 to $2,000 per seat. Live music, once the heartbeat of youth, has been hijacked by bots, corporations, and dynamic pricing that bleeds fans dry. Even sports, the working man's pastime, are disappearing from reach. An average NFL ticket now costs $279, NBA $105, MLB $95. That's before parking, food, or drinks. Families who once bonded in the bleachers now watch from their couches, if they can even afford the streaming services that replaced cable. Speaking of streaming, it was supposed to save us. Instead, it's become another trap. Subscriptions that once cost $9.99 now cost $19.99, and you need half a dozen just to watch what you want. The average household now spends $243 per month on digital entertainment, nearly $3,000 a year, more than double what it was in 2018. The middle class isn't choosing between luxuries anymore. They're choosing between living and feeling alive. Art, laughter, music, and escape have been commodified beyond reach. When even joy has become unaffordable, a society loses its spirit. America isn't suffering from a lack of entertainment. It's suffering from an epidemic of exhaustion, priced out of its own happiness. Number 5. Quality, childcare or preschool. The American middle class is collapsing under the weight of childcare. Parents used to work to give their children a better life. Now, they work just to afford someone to watch them while they work. The average cost of full-time childcare in America is $13,655 per child per year. For infants, it often exceeds $20,000 in major cities. 2 working parents can easily pay $35,000 to $40,000 annually, more than college tuition in many states. Daycare rates have risen 400% in 3 decades, outpacing wage growth by nearly 5 times. For many families, that means one parent, usually the mother, leaves the workforce entirely. But staying home isn't a choice, it's an act of financial triage. The loss of income, combined with the soaring costs of everything else, traps families in a no-win situation: work and go broke, or stay home and fall behind. Childcare now consumes 16% of median family income, even though the government defines 7% as affordable. Meanwhile, the United States is the only developed nation without universal early childhood education or federally subsidized care. In France, families pay the equivalent of $200 a month for preschool. In Sweden, it's practically free. Here, it's the cost of a mortgage. The ripple effects are devastating. Parents delay having children, fertility rates plummet, and economic growth slows. A generation of exhausted mothers and fathers spend sleepless nights wondering how to afford the next tuition payment, the next month of daycare, the next year of survival. We call children the future, yet we've priced their care like a luxury. America isn't childless by choice. It's childless by design. Number 4. Urban rent. In cities across America, the middle class is vanishing, not by choice but by eviction. The same neighborhoods that built opportunity are now unaffordable fortresses controlled by landlords, developers, and corporate investors. The median rent in the U.S. has hit $2,050, the highest in history. In cities like Austin, Miami, and Nashville, one-bedroom apartments run $2,400 to $3,200. In Los Angeles or New York, it's over $3,800. And that's before utilities, parking, and fees. Signing a lease can require $8,000 to $12,000 upfront in deposits and moving costs, more than many Americans have saved in a year. More than 50% of renters now spend over 30% of their income on housing. the federal threshold for being cost-burdened. 1 in 4 spends half their paycheck just to stay housed. Meanwhile, corporate landlords like Invitation Homes and American Homes for rent by entire neighborhoods, raising rents by 20 to 40% in a single year. The result is a quiet form of modern feudalism. Tenants work, pay, and struggle, while ownership consolidates upward. Commuters now drive 2 hours each way from the only places they can afford, losing time, health, and sanity. Families are splitting apart, moving in with relatives or doubling up in apartments meant for one. Cities are turning into luxury showrooms for the rich and transient playgrounds for investors. Teachers, nurses, and firefighters can't afford to live in the communities they serve. The middle class isn't just priced out, it's being erased. The American city was once the engine of opportunity. Today, it's a gated economy where the rent never stops rising, and the dream of stability fades with every renewal notice. Number 3. Family vacations. For generations, the family vacation was the reward for hard work. The 1 week a year when the middle class could rest, reconnect, and breathe. But that simple joy has quietly vanished. Today, for millions of Americans, the idea of taking a break feels like fantasy. A family of 4 taking a modest domestic trip, airfare, hotel, car rental, food, and attractions now costs $4,800 to $6,200 on average. A week at Disney World? Nearly $8,000 to $10,000 once you factor in park tickets, hotels, and meals. Even a road trip can run $1,500 to $2,000 as gas, lodging, and fast food prices soar. The U.S. Travel Association reports that 63% of middle-income families canceled or shortened vacations in the last 2 years due to cost. Inflation has turned what used to be a basic family experience into a budget-busting event. Airfare up 35%, hotels up 20%, rental cars up 50%. Everything costs more, except peace of mind. Parents are watching summer come and go with guilt and exhaustion, telling their children maybe next year as next year never comes. Kids grow up without memories of beaches, national parks, or family road trips. The same simple moments that once defined middle-class childhood. It's more than lost leisure, it's lost connection. Time away used to heal burnout and strengthen families. Now, Americans work longer hours, take fewer days off, and are more depressed than ever. The middle class isn't just broke, it's burned out. The saddest truth? Vacations are not a luxury, they're a lifeline. A reminder that life is about more than work and bills. When even rest becomes unaffordable, society collapses under invisible fatigue. America has become a country that never clocks out, and the cost isn't just in dollars, it's in the slow death of joy. Number 2. Savings collapse and the death of retirement. The middle class once believed in tomorrow. You worked, saved, retired, and finally exhaled. That dream has collapsed. Today, the future doesn't look like sunsets and grandkids. It looks like working until your body gives out. Nearly 60% of Americans live paycheck to paycheck. Even households earning $100,000 a year struggle to save anything. The typical American has less than $1,000 in savings and no emergency fund. One unexpected bill, a blown tire, a broken tooth, a medical emergency, can trigger a financial crisis. Retirement? It's not even a word most people use anymore. The median 401k balance for ages 55 to 64 is $89,700, barely enough to cover 2 years of modest living. Experts recommend at least $1.2 million to retire comfortably. Who can reach that when rent eats 40% of income and health insurance swallows another 15%? Social Security, the final safety net, faces insolvency by 2034. Pensions have been replaced with risky self-funded accounts. The golden years have turned gray with anxiety. Americans over 65 are now the fastest growing segment of the workforce, not because they want to keep working, but because they can't afford to stop. Meanwhile, costs explode. A single hospital stay can wipe out an entire retirement account. Nursing homes average $108,000 per year, while assisted living costs $64,000. People who worked 40 years are ending their lives in debt. The middle class has been tricked into believing that financial struggle is personal failure, when in truth, it's systemic theft. Wages stagnate while profits skyrocket. The promise of security has been replaced with survival. This isn't retirement anymore, it's economic exile. The future used to be something to look forward to. Now it's something to fear. Number 1. Healthcare. There is no greater cruelty than making people choose between health and survival. Yet that's exactly what the American middle class faces every day. Healthcare in this country isn't about healing anymore. It's about profit. The average annual cost of employer-sponsored health insurance for a family is $22,463. Premiums have risen 63% since 2010, while wages barely moved. Deductibles average $2,825, meaning families pay thousands before insurance even begins to help. Prescription drugs? Astronomical. A single vial of insulin can cost $300 to $400 without coverage. An ambulance ride? $1,200. A hospital stay? $15,000 to $20,000 for a few days. Even with insurance, medical debt destroys lives. Over 100 million Americans carry medical debt, and 62% of bankruptcies are tied to health expenses. People skip appointments, ration medications, and delay surgery because they can't afford to get sick. Parents choose between antibiotics and groceries. Seniors split pills in half to make them last. Meanwhile, hospitals post record profits. CEOs at major health insurers take home $15 to $50 million annually, while patients drown in bills. The U.S. spends $4.5 trillion per year on healthcare, more than any nation on Earth, yet ranks 37th in outcomes. The middle class pays more and gets less. Every illness becomes a financial emergency. A broken bone can derail a family budget. A cancer diagnosis can erase decades of savings. Healthcare, the thing that should protect life, now destroys it. In America, getting sick isn't just dangerous, it's unaffordable, and nothing exposes the collapse of the middle class more brutally than that. The truth is devastating. The system isn't broken. It's working exactly as designed, to keep ordinary people too sick, too scared, and too broke to fight back.